sure missed you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 1990 horror sequel, Child's Play 2. The film is directed by John Lafia and it stars Alex Vincent as Andy. We've got Jenny Agutter, Gerrit Graham, Christine Elise, and of course, Brad Dourif as the voice of Chucky. Okay, this film is set just after the first one, really. Andy's mother has been admitted to a psychiatric hospital after the events of the first one. The police essentially are keeping stum about everything that happened, it would seem. And the toy company behind the Chucky doll are doing their very best to kind of sweep it all under the carpet. They get hold of the original Chucky doll, decide to rebuild it, and obviously by doing so, resurrect Brad Dourif's Chucky character, Charles Lee Ray from the first film. And he is on a mission to find Andy once again in order to make himself human by using the technique in the first film before he himself turns human as a doll. Andy is now living in the care of two foster parents and another foster child, Kyle, until Chucky finds them and starts making Andy's life a living hell once again. Right, what are my thoughts on Child's Play 2? Well, I mean, I said after reviewing Child's Play that was the only Child Play film I've seen up to that point. I watched it originally when it first came out, and I thought it was okay, but at the time I wasn't a big horror fan, I think it's fair to say. But I didn't think I'd seen any of the sequels, and after watching this, I don't remember anything about this one before, so I'm fairly sure I haven't seen this or any of the other sequels. And as sequels go, it is very competent, I suppose. I mean, apart from, I think the start of the film, I think is very poor, in a sense of, I mean, it is different when you're watching films so close to each other, as I have with the first and the second one. Um, for them to just dispose of the mother and shove her in a psychiatric hospital off screen, sort of thing, and that police officer played by Chris Sarandon, how they explain away the events of the first one is ridiculous, really. But you kind of like, okay, we need to get on with the film, so let's just grin and bear what they're saying. Because we need to kind of get on with it, and we need to make Chucky come back, and how we do that, you're not gonna like, but it'll bring Chucky back. It makes no sense, but at the end of the day, we're talking about a possessed doll here, so it's not really doesn't really matter that it makes a lot of sense. So once you kind of get over that early hurdle, and it kind of gets moving, the film, it's much better, I think. Um, the whole idea of how Chucky finds Andy again, we'll just smooth over that. But he does manage to find Andy again. And how he kind of weans his way back into his life is clever initially, but I don't think they play on that long enough. Because essentially there's another like Chucky doll at this foster home that they take away because of obviously the events of the first film, and he's scarred by his Chucky dolls, poor little Andy. And when the real Brad Dourif Chucky turns up, he kind of gets rid of this proper toy Chucky and he takes its place. Which you kind of thinking, well, that's quite a clever idea, you know what I mean? But he reveals himself to Andy too quickly. You think he would have kind of, I don't know, wormed his way around the house and the family. And I think with this being a foster home, a couple of extra kids that he could have manipulated would have worked well as well, I think. But they decide essentially to get right down to it. Chucky wants to do this ritual so he can, take over Andy's body, all that kind of stuff. And it's up to Andy, and now Christine Elise Kyle, who has taken over as the, I don't know, final girl, I suppose, to protect him. Now, first things first, if you like. I mean, the whole idea of the foster parents and stuff is okay. Jenny Agutter as the foster mother, that makes sense. The guy they choose, Kerrick Graham, as the foster father, he's about as thoughtful and caring as, well, Chucky. He's just not a very, very nice chap. So I don't understand why he would want to foster children. But I know from researching it, Jenny Agutter wasn't that keen on this film at all. She didn't like the film. And you can understand why. They don't give her hardly anything to do here. And her character is unceremoniously really killed off screen. You don't see it really. And so it has no impact on the film. So they do make a few misfires here. I think they could have done a lot more with her character so that you feel the death even more. As it happens, you don't really feel anything. So the missteps that the film makes, it does kind of make up for them, because the finale of this film, I think, is a significant improvement on the first film. You know, in a Chucky toy factory, you know, this confrontation between Chucky, Andy, and this Elise. I mean, Kyle, not Elise. She's called Christine Elise, the actress. Kyle, this foster girl who is kind of looking after Andy now. You know, they have this huge confrontation with Chucky in this toy factory, and it's actually quite a lot of fun and quite gripping. And I really enjoyed it, and there was actually some really, you know, impactful moments in it. And I have to say as well, I have to compliment the effects again. I said this in the first one, how they managed to kind of do what they did in the first one with the technology that they had in them days was fantastic. And I, you know, repeat that again here. I think the stuff that they do with the Chucky doll here is very, very good. Now, I felt as though the voiceover from Brad Dourif was better in the first one. Now, my understanding is that he did all his voice work for this in advance. But it almost feels like when the voice comes out of Chucky, it feels like it's down a telephone or something. It just, I don't know, it kind of lacks that raw edge that it had in the first one. It's not all the time, it's not noticeable all the time, but, you know, a handful of times in the film, you kind of like, I just felt distant, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it's certainly a competent sequel. I didn't dislike the film at all. I thought they made a few missteps. I thought the beginning was poor. And I think they made a few creative decisions that were incorrect. But as horror sequels go, yeah, not too bad at all. Looking forward to checking out the third one. Let me know your thoughts on this and the rest of the franchise. And I will, of course, be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.